What if the secret to perfect parenting was admitting that none of us have a clue?
The truth, we're two real moms figuring it out in real time and keeping it real along the way.
Each episode, we're calling BS on perfection and bringing you raw combos with parents and professionals who aren't afraid to go there.
Because what if the real parenting hack was dropping truth bombs instead of pretending like we got it all together? Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Truth Moms, everyone. Today we're back in the studio. I feel like it's been such a long time since me and Brittany have been face to face. Lots of stuff going on between life, essentially. But we're going to get right on into it. We're just going to hop on into this conversation that everyone seems to be having on social media and just the world in general, or at least the United States.
Lindsay Clancy.
Yes, the Clancy case.
The Clancy case. We actually even had a little printout so we can because I think it's such a complicated one. I want to say this out loud because we were talking about this prior to pressing the record button. Is that I think that the world, how do I say this kindly? I think we're lazy a little bit. And sometimes when things go viral, we take that as the word of truth instead of doing our own research. And I personally don't want to give an opinion one way or the other on this. I will say what I observe, but I don't want to give an opinion one way or the other on this because two things. One, I am not an expert. I am not the detectives. I am not the family. I don't know what happened outside of what I'm being told and what I'm consuming on the internet. And I think that the case has just started, right? They're just starting to pull these people out. And unless you're watching that unfold every single day, you have to take it with a grain of salt that you can give a good opinion, because the truth is you were not there. I was not there. I don't know. I don't know the marriage prior to the incident, nor do I know the marriage now or lack thereof, right? And so there are a lot of nuances that I think we just tend to rally behind something in a viral moment, and we don't actually look at facts and then come to a conclusion. We just kind of ride one way or the other. The other thing is I really do want to be sensitive to the fact that I am a mother that has gone through, albeit a very mild case of anxiety, but I understand postpartum as a very hormonal change of time. If you truly have not gone through the depths of postpartum, especially we'll get into even the age ranges, because it's something that I thought was interesting with another case that had come up, that if it's not something you had gone through, I think that it is hard to empathize. What do you mean? Are you good? Okay.
I'm just nervous.
It wouldn't go if it wasn't recording.
Yes, I know. Sorry. Okay. What were you saying? Do you remember?
Now I forgot. Okay. Well, anyway, I just want to say it's a nuanced conversation, and I don't feel like I don't know what you're going to come up with on your side, but I personally don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. And I certainly think that we can't rally behind I want to talk about cases and virality in general, and how of an injustice it does, whether or not you're pro Lindsay didn't do it and her husband did it, or you're pro she did it, but we need to have, grace. The fact of the matter is, when you get to make it such a media circus, it actually does a disservice to the person going through this, because at the end of the day, I think we've talked about this before and other things. At the end of the day, 3 children were murdered. So that is the sadness of it. And I think that we have to walk through, as we're talking about this, of it is not just the disclaimer here is that I'm not placing judgment. I'm not that person. First off, I'm not one of 2 judges. I'm not the judges on the case or the jury that has to, manage this. And I'm not God. So I'm not judging it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have our feelings, being 2 moms, one in fresh postpartum and one who has been through it as well with 2 kids, and try to humanize what could have happened without placing judgment. I think that's the best way we can do that.
I think that accountability definitely needs to be there, but I think that mental illness also has to be part of the conversation. I think 2 things can exist at the same time where we can address both and say, hey, how could we have prevented this situation and situations, that may come down the road, looking at it and definitely do it. But I think that there's accountability on her end that needs, she can't get, to me, I'm sorry, I don't think she should get off scot-free, which a lot of people are saying, okay, well, she's pleading the insanity plea, essentially.
Right. And unfortunately, if you guys continue to make it the media circuit as it is, it will have a hung jury, or whatever that's called when the jury isn't fair and they have to keep switching people out. And she may just go for that. And then you're left with well, what actually happened and how do these children get justice? And the thing with the husband too, we talked about this offline, but as we go through this, it's like, look, at the end of the day, we're just researching what's already been done. We have to trust, sometimes we have to trust that the court system did its job, right? That the medical experts, the detectives, the other cops on the case, the psychologists and all of that they have done the due diligence that is now happening in this court, and we're just kind of reading off of it. So to think that any of us are professionals and can give professional opinions that would thwart a case one way or the other, not have been involved, it just sometimes to me it's a little bit what's the word? It's like it's just not cool. It's extremely juvenile to think that your one opinion is the opinion that it has to be, and I don't know.
Well, another thing to kind of go back a little bit, but like I think that it's really important to keep the accountability, because this case is probably going to be a case that sets a precedent.
It'll be a landmark
for future cases.
Yeah.
So anytime that a woman has postpartum depression and does something to harm her children from now on, if she gets off scot-free, then that's going to set a precedent, and then it's going to keep happening. So anytime that a mom somehow has like a little bit of a anger problem, it could set that precedent, which is very dangerous.
Also, before we get into this, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on for a second, and I'm going to say it is highly interesting that these things and the one that stabbed her children recently, like the Kentucky mom, like I think it's very interesting that these cases are starting to come out and they're starting to get massive traction on the coattails of the Massachusetts abortion bill. Like I think that we have to be very careful about what we're consuming and how it is making us feel, because what I don't want is us to get so desensitized by what we're hearing that we say that we can understand what is essentially it is child murder on both fronts. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. I don't care if you unfollow the podcast, but late-term abortions, when you have other countries that are saying in the EU that are saying, hey, we don't allow abortions after 20 weeks because they can scientifically prove that the baby feels pain. And then you're also coupling it with this idea that there is justifiable murder in the sense that like, because someone is mentally ill, it's okay. And I'm not saying I'm saying that's what it's presuming to be.
Right.
Without saying it, I think I just said the quiet part out loud. Right. And so you're like, we need to be very careful that we don't desensitize ourselves to what essentially what is medical care, what is reproductive care, and what is just blatantly irresponsible.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. I think we should start. I think we printed this out. I think we should just start with, let's talk about like the timeline and where things might have start to unfold.
Yeah. So the early signals, we'll call it chapter 1. 2017, the first child is born. Postpartum anxiety is later reported. After the second child, family members later described racing thoughts, excessive cleaning, sounds like me, just kidding, constant activity, and an inability to slow down. So it sounds like there was just some early signals with her first, and then it seems like as it goes on and she adds on or she has more kids, it just gets more intensified.
Yeah. And I think that that's an important part too is first-time mothers, I think, don't have enough support as is, right? We're going to get down to each of the children, and obviously with more children, there feels like there's less support. But I think that we miss as a altogether as the United States, as America, as a first world country, I think we completely miss support at the mother, especially at the first time level, because that is your first experience with anything, right? It's either a traumatic birth or it's a good birth. It's either a traumatic postpartum or it's a good postpartum. Your hormones are hitting you either way. It's whether or not you're supported in that. So if she's saying that she was reporting postpartum anxiety. I had postpartum anxiety. I think I've told the story on the podcast. I remember having River, and it was like maybe a month after, I was like, okay, let's go get some. I didn't leave. I was a hermit, which is later on I figured out is fine to stay home. But like the very first time I went out into the world as a new mother, I remember like clipping my heel around her stroller because I was so afraid that we were eating sushi on like a corner, which is it's not a very busy corner, but it's a corner nonetheless, that had like a wraparound patio. Mm-hmm. And I had convinced myself that someone was going to come around the corner and just swoop, like just pull off with my baby.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it out of it actually ruined my entire life. It was actually something so traumatic. I remember it like still and how it made me feel. And I just kept gripping it tighter to the point where I remember like looking at PJ and being like, I can't stay. We got to go home.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid. The world was new and afraid. And I think that's a really important thing to remember for people is from going from a normal single or a dink, right? Dual income, no kids, right? You and your husband are going through the world. You're single people. And then you have to take care of a child. So many things go through your head because you are totally changed in that realm.
And it's from one day and then maybe 2 to 3 days in the hospital. And then you are out on your own. And it's like, how are they, you're almost like, how are they letting me they're trusting me with this little baby?
Yeah.
It's so fresh.
Right. You don't have to have an interview.
Monitor?
There's no interview.
Yeah. Like, are you equipped to do this?
Yeah.
Like, do you got everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just trust you and you just go and then you just feel like, okay, now they're out in the world and anything can harm them. It's your job to protect them.
I remember too, because with River in the hospital, I remember watching how many times they came in and checked. And I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, like when I go home, am I supposed to do that? Like, do I need like a heart monitor? Like, you don't realize it because everything feels so medical in that moment and also I don't think people realize it. Like you're not sleeping either. Like they're coming in every couple of hours to check on you and give you, pills or whatever it is. But like, so you already aren't getting enough sleep. And then you go home and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this small thing. They can't tell me what's wrong. I didn't go to school to learn about like the difference in a baby's cough or the difference in a baby's, gurgle or the difference, like is coughing versus choking. Like these are all things you have to learn. And so I'm not discounting that she probably had an extra. I'm discounting the fact that no one sees those signs because they just throw it off there. Like you have to there has to be more support for any postpartum mother, but for first time mothers in general to say, okay, walk me through what you're feeling day to day, because I think that's how this starts.
It's just a survey on a piece of paper at their wellness exams.
Exactly. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just did one the other day and I was thinking about this and it was like in the past, I started filling it out and like was actually putting a couple of numbers on things. And I have not experienced really any postpartum anxiety. If anything, I've kind of like mellowed out because I'm just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's just been different for me. And this is why it's kind of hard to talk about this case because it's hard to get into her mindset. But I'm sitting there and it's like, oh, it's only in the past 7 days is what that survey said.
Right.
I started answering it within like my whole entire postpartum. And then I was like, oh, in the past 7 days. And I had like changed my answers. How easy is it for me to lie, for me to just, get something wrong or not misunderstand something? There's got to be more signs that are very evident.
How often do you forget? You just said the last 7 days.
Right.
And when's the last time you did it? 6 months ago? So like within the past 6 months, we only, okay. So like every quarter. So once a quarter, you're going and reviewing the last 7 days instead of looking at it, because week to week is always different. You happen to have a really good postpartum. I had a really good postpartum with Lenny, but like there are people that have a harder time. And if you're only checking on them once every 3 months and you're only asking them, maybe they had a good week and they forgot all about the 2 months before. Right. So, I think it's interesting to say to lie. I think it's not lying as in
it's pride.
No, I think it's shame.
For me, it's pride and shame, I guess you would say, because like sometimes I really actually do need help and I'll just say, no, I'm good. I got it. Because I'll sit there and I don't know if anyone else feels about like this or you feel like this, but you see these people on social media, these moms on social media, they're just absolutely crushing it with like 6 kids. And you're like, I can't even handle 1. I can't even handle 2. And I feel like this. I must be failing. I've got to just push through. There's something wrong with me. I'm fine. I'm good. And then that reflects on a survey, that reflects on your answer to, someone asking you, are you okay? Do you need help? You're like, no, I'm good. I swear I'm a good mom. Like, that's kind of how it comes off sometimes.
Oh yeah. See I'm the opposite. I think of the mom and saying like, I do feel like I'm failing and I don't want to be failing. And I feel like if I say this, then I will be chastised. And so not like, I understand the pride because I think that's us. Both of us are like that. We're like, I got this. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a whole other set of moms that are mostly just scared because what if I said I felt this way, right? Like if you did put that on a piece of paper at this point, would the baby be taken from you then?
Exactly.
And I think that there's that fear of like, what does the truth actually get me? Does it get me help, or does it get me deeper into a rabbit hole? Okay, so then baby number 2.
It says, I guess there's a baby born between September.
Look, so that's the other thing that, that's so Callan. So the third child is born in 2022, right? Yeah. And the first baby was born in 2017.
Right. So 5 years. And then she had a baby in between that. I had it somewhere. 2 years after that. They're all about 2 years apart.
Yeah. So
5 years.
Right. So I'm just going to throw this out there again, not a medical professional, but from somebody who does like active natural planning, I think is what we call it. Right. So you're like, okay, when does my body is really ready? And not that like whatever time is your time. I'm not judging anybody, but I'm saying if you are active family planning, I think we so often talk about this in postpartum, and then once we're out of the baby world, we like forget this part, and we don't want to talk about it because it sounds shameful or hurtful. But you have a baby, you had a full blown human being in like creation. You have full blown birth and whatever that entails, and then you also have a full blown organ that just came out of your body that is the size of a dinner plate. The amount of healing, I think we just saw something online that said something like finally science is starting to catch up, because again, there isn't any really much on reproductive and really much on women in general and like their periods. Like it was just not a thing because we just assumed women bled because they were dirty, right? And so now we're starting to look at women's health and reproductive health from a sense of the woman's body and how it differs in hormones from a man. And one thing that's come out is that it actually does take 3 to 5 years for your body to fully recover.
This is something I thought about with you. I think this is what I sent you, especially if you're still breastfeeding. So like Brittany, you're still in postpartum from River. Like you have not exited because you've been breastfeeding this entire time.
Yeah.
So you're technically still postpartum.
Yeah. And because I think it's like, okay, you feel better and you can like function, right? And like it like to me sometimes it's like when someone says like like when you have a few drinks, right? You're still intoxicated. You're still not supposed to be driving. You're just not drunk like this guy over here who sloshed over in the bar. Right. And so you're still postpartum. My hormones are still not where they're supposed to be because they're not in the same place they would be if I'm not breastfeeding,
right.
Or whatever, from the time I stop to the time it takes to regulate those. When your period comes back after a pregnancy should be the first clue, right? No one's pregnancy, they say it takes 3 to 5 cycles. I don't know why it's always 3 to 5, but it's always it's like 3 cycles plus for you to manage, for your body to basically jumpstart and regulate. You can't really go off the first 2 cycles, right? You have to start 3 and beyond. And so what I'm saying to you guys all is that it's very interesting that within 5 years, she's having 3 kids. That is not a lot of time if she is already experiencing what feels like postpartum anxiety to depression from baby 1 to baby 2 and then baby 3. Your body has no time to catch up.
Compounding.
Yes.
Like just compounding one after the other. And then essentially like that's what becomes of the medication carousel.
Yeah, that's a big thing too.
So I think I have all of the medications in this page over here, but she was on different medications. I'm just going to kind of name some off. Zoloft, Prozac, Wellbutrin, Remeron, Trazodone, Seroquel, I'm going to completely. Klonopin, Valium, Ativan, Ambien, Benadryl, and Hydrozine.
Some anti-anxiety sleep medication. So it said she was prescribed more than 30 medications involving 13 psychiatric medications roughly over 4 months. So we're not talking even the 5 years. We're talking within 4 months she was taking 30 different prescriptions. We don't know how many she was taking all at once, but we do know that that's a lot of time for 30 different prescriptions to be in your body, and also testing, because they do say in here that when you first get on, especially SSRIs, right, they put you on a certain level and then they're like, oh, if that doesn't work, we'll put you up or we'll put you down or whatever. So we're basically testing medications within essentially a quarter. And then I think at some point it came out that the one physician did not know that she was already on medications. And so at some point she was taking both SSRIs
Yes. And so this is something that I actually want to talk about because obviously like we don't want to have such a, surveillance state like within the United States.
Right.
But this is where it gets really dangerous. And we've seen this time and time again with like Matthew Perry, Heath Ledger, like these cases where people are taking a cocktail of all of these different medications. It's up to the patient to, number one, disclose that information to the doctor. And I think that that's really risky because you can keep that. I mean, I can easily just be like, I'm not on anything.
Right.
Very easily.
Right.
And so then it falls into the doctor's lap and we're sitting here like, why would you prescribe all of this?
And I will even say too, let's say she wasn't lying, or because there was somebody online, speaking of the TikTok, this is my issue with this. So like, oh, the husband lied to the doctors. And I was like, how many women visits has your husband gone to in your postpartum with you? Just for you, not for you and the baby, just for you. None.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we assuming that he went to every one of her medical visits?
Right.
Like it's like it's just you and the doctor for the most part, right? Again, I don't know 100%, but I'm just saying PJ's not come to any of my well-being visits.
No.
So to your point, you could be lying for whatever, or you could simply forget because I'm not taking any medications as in like whatever, I'm taking vitamins and supplements.
I can barely remember.
I'm like, I think I'm still taking that, or I think I'm still taking this.
Yeah.
Or, and we're going to go and we've gone through this again. The medical industry as a whole lacks information giving. So what if she didn't realize that Zoloft and Prozac were both SSRI? Or like maybe she doesn't, like she's a lay person. So how can we also expect her to not only handle all the information that she's getting, but she is, if we're at this stage, she is in a postpartum psychosis state. She's having all these medical cocktails. She's now having to go to these doctor visits and, list off whatever. And if she misses one, they're giving, because look, it's 2 SSRI antidepressants, 3 different other antidepressants.
The Ativan and Ambien alone, like, kind of weird me out.
The Klonopin gets me.
Yeah, that too.
Because you're like, you would have been. I'm from Philadelphia. I had a couple of boyfriends that had some pretty bad problems, and I just know the zombie state that you're in on those.
And Ativan and Ambien, like you just completely are like you can hallucinate if you try to stay up. Like if at any point, like she tried to sleep and then she has to wake up with the baby, like she can be in a complete hallucinogenic, like it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's very wild. All right, mama, real quick before we keep going, if you've ever thought, why isn't this diet working for me? Or why do I always feel tired even when I'm doing everything right? It could come down to your genetics. That's why we love MaxGen Labs. Their at-home genetic tests help you understand how your body works, like how you process food, how you detox, what vitamins you actually need, and even your fitness tendencies. It takes all of the guesswork and helps you make choices that actually fit your body. And here's the best part. Just for being a Truth Moms listener, you get 10% off any test. Just head to maxgenlabs.com/truthmoms for 10% off. That's maxgenlabs.com/truthmoms, and you'll get 10% off your order today. Because knowing your body is the first step to feeling your best. All right, back to the show. Okay, this is one of those brands that once you switch, you literally don't go back. I also feel like it's one of those small changes that actually makes a big difference in your home, especially as a mom. I'm talking about Truly Free. And what I love is that they're all about non-toxic, safer cleaning products without all the harsh chemicals. Because let's be honest, we're constantly cleaning surfaces our kids are touching, crawling on, putting things in their mouths, all of it. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. And I feel like a lot of us grew up thinking the stronger, the cleaner, the better. I'm talking about the bleaches, the ammonias, the stuff that just burns your nose hairs. Like everything does not need to be completely disinfected all of the time. But the reality is the super harsh cleaners like bleach don't just kill the bad stuff. They wipe out basically everything, even the harmless bacteria. And while there's definitely a time and place for that, like someone's sick with a norovirus or you're dealing with something heavy duty, it's not really necessary for everyday cleaning and can actually be more harmful to our health than good. For daily life, especially with kids and pets, using something gentler and non-toxic just makes more sense. And that's why I personally love Truly Free. It makes that swap really simple without feeling like you're sacrificing clean. They have everything too. Laundry, kitchen, bathroom, so you can slowly replace what you're already using. Are you already using Truly Free? Great. Our code works for both new and existing customers, which is amazing. So you can use code TRUTHMOMS, that's TRUTHMOMS, for 30% off your entire order site-wide. Whether you're just starting to swap things out or restocking what you already love, just head to our link, shop anything on the site, and use code TRUTHMOMS for 30% off. And guys, make sure you're checking our page because they're always updating their bundles and starter kits. So if you want the latest options, you can check out our separate link for the most up-to-date deals. But my whole thing is, how do we, without getting to Big Brother, how do we streamline this? There's got to be a way with a pharmacy or something where that information can pull up so people understand what they're on, or at least the doctor can be like, hey, like, are you still taking this? Because you, like you said, sometimes you don't lie. Sometimes you're not lying, but you forget like what you're on. You're like, oh yeah, I do take that every morning. Cause you're just putting a bunch of stuff.
I mean, what is there some, the way you're saying that, so there is a law against knowing everyone's medications basically?
I mean, I would have to assume, because every time that I go to a new doctor, like say like, okay, I'm going
They
to
definitely
an ortho,
don't share
they don't,
information.
yeah, they're not sharing information. There's no like, they're not all in the same database where they're pulling up information. Like they all have different databases. It's not interconnected. Like,
I do know, like for surgeon, so my grandmother's been going through this whole gallbladder situation, right? And I do know we finally fired basically the hospital, and we went to the news hospital, and they pulled out their own cycle of tests. That I understand, because you're like, okay, you might miss something, or they want to be thorough and they don't want to look off of bad data. But for what you're taking, you would think that would just transfer over, like with all the medications you're taking.
Like Walgreens has a very good track record of what you're taking and if you're taking it, because you're getting refills,
right?
You're using it, or you're not, or it's just sitting there. So if someone's
what is the
taking
downside to knowing what people are taking?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like there's got to be. I mean, if you guys want to chime in on this, I'd love
that
to
I don't know.
Comments, because Big Brother wise, yes, people don't want the government or like medications or your information out there, but if you're going to a medical professional anyway, like,
right. Isn't it out there in some capacity already?
Right. So I just don't understand. Like, I just feel like it's a very big
But you're saying that, but then I know like you can't even get Claritin, the ones with the people use for meth. You can't buy more than 2 at a setting, right? And they know that by your ID.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I know this because
so they are tracking to some degree.
Yeah. I know this because my mom was like, oh, she needed it. She was, my mom takes like some kind of like Claritin with the extra. I don't know what the extra is, but something that they make the meth with. And I have 4 dogs in my house. So she was like losing it. She's like, but I can't, I have like 3 more days left. And I was like, 3 more days left to what?
Yeah.
And she's like, until I can go get it, because there's a certain time limit, because what was happening was the bums would come in and they would clear them out of it and use it to make meth.
Okay.
So how do you know that? But then you don't know, I don't know. Interesting.
Well, I mean, we could sit here and we could be conspiracy theorists and say, follow the money, but
yeah, that's a different,
it's just a whole that I just chapter think is interesting nowadays that I feel like we should have a better grip on.
Yeah. Speaking of follow the money, I do think this being as lit as it is, I do think it's a little bit of a, what's the word?
I do want to note that, just to get facts straight here, she was prescribed, I think you kind of said this, she was prescribed over more than 30 prescriptions involving 13 sites. I cannot talk today. Psychiatric medications over roughly 4 months. So that wasn't technically on all 13 at once, but
no, but there was a combination of cocktails. She was at least on like, there was a medical cocktail of some sort. So let's go back in time. All right. So now she's had, so by the time baby number 3, we're looking at September 2022. We talked about that, the psychiatric symptoms intensified, but there is something else in here that I thought was interesting too, is she had a lot of anxiety about going back to work.
Yes.
And I have a lot of anxiety postpartum going back to work.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't go. I
couldn't think about leaving my child for an extended period of time.
Close my business. Like,
yeah. Nope. And so I understand that feeling and you understand that feeling more than most. And so you're like, okay, did the medications start to like take the edge off, right, of here? And then it became a cascading effect. And then it comes the bigger question of like, the return to work in the United States is absolutely fucking awful.
Awful.
You have 8 weeks.
Well,
and that's if you're a full-time employee, right? Or no, for FDA, there's no federal maternity leave.
paid.
It can be unpaid.
I think there is a federal
8 weeks.
leave, but it's unpaid.
Right.
So most people, if that's the case,
Right.
and they have no maternity leave within their company, they're going right back to work.
Right. And I don't know the system for part-time workers, if they're supposed to have their job back or whatever. I'm not really sure how that works, but I do know that like it's not good. It's not easy. And so you're basically, we've got to work on that, because other countries around the world give them almost a year off. And if you think about the postpartum timing, your baby is still so small at 8 weeks.
Yeah.
8 weeks is 2 months.
No.
Like your baby doesn't even know how to basically open their eyes at that point. They're not even smiling. I think smiling starts at 3. You're like, nothing is like they're still this tiny little potato.
They still think that they're part of you.
Yeah.
They still think that they don't know what life is without you, and then you're ripped away. And then you also have it affecting your milk. Like there's so many factors. And then sleep, like your sleep training, if you don't want to sleep train, like there's so many factors that it affects. And we just are like, okay, go. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like whoever made that rule up, no.
Yeah. I wonder where that number came from. They're like, hey, 8 weeks sounds like a good idea.
Well, we just all have to get really loud and do what we're doing right now and just talk about it.
Yeah.
It'll change.
Yeah.
It will change.
So it does look like, and then we're talking about some of this stuff. There are notes in the case that suicidal thoughts were reported right before this all happened. The tragedy happened in December in 2022. So this is a month before. Crisis resources or contacts. I did find this part interesting, and I think I don't know how people are going to react when they're thinking about it too, but there is a postpartum clinic or program that she was supposed to go under that she was not accepted because they determined that it was not postpartum. Or I think more recently we've discovered it's not that they said it wasn't postpartum, it's that they couldn't differentiate the mental illness or the drugs, essentially, those side effects to postpartum. So now we've heavily medicated. This is root cause all over again. We've heavily medicated someone who needed help. And then they got so medicated that we said, we can't help.
Well, you can't determine because she's so heavily medicated. She's
Yeah.
a zombie at
So
this point.
what-
So what are you going to do?
Chicken or the egg.
Right. Like she's just not checking off every single box. Like clearly there's an issue. And she's sitting here screaming too. And even if she wasn't screaming, saying, hey, like I'm having these thoughts. Hey, like there's a crisis going on in my head. Somebody should be able to identify that.
Yeah.
Again.
And then the same month, obviously, that the tragedy happened, she had already voluntarily admitted herself to a psychiatric hospital, and the medications changed again. So she had a final psychiatric appointment the day before the tragedy, and I think that's the most eerie part is when they went over that in the court, and she said, "I'm fine, everything's good, I feel better, I don't have these thoughts or whatever." That to me is like, she was just failed. I think she just gave up at that point.
Yeah.
Because obviously she was not fine. And I'm not going to even say she had a moment of clarity. I'm going to say that she just gave up.
Yeah. And I think you said something, I don't know tell me if you want me to take this out, but like you said that if PJ looked at you, he would know if you were in a really bad place and that you needed to be removed from the kids.
Yeah.
And you feel like there had to have been some of that. Not to, blame the husband.
Well, Okay. So here's where I'm against TikTok saying the husband did it. Because here's the thing, we don't know. We don't have those facts, right? We can all speculate and have our feelings about it. But with the truth is, and we can all rally at her court system with a pink shirt and say like, we're pro. But the fact of the matter is, if we believe that the cops had done their due diligence for the last 3 years, she did it. But there is overwhelming in here. There's just an overwhelming enough of evidence to say she was definitely not supported by anybody, especially her husband.
So many opportunities for intervention.
Right.
That's, I think, the biggest thing. when it comes to her defense.
Yeah.
However, the truth is she killed her kids and now she is accountable for that.
Right. And I do think like there was a video that came out of them at some, play area thing, and he's to the side and she's by herself. And most people are like, oh, look, he's already thinking. I'm like, I didn't get that. What I got is that he is disassociative to her.
Right.
And then maybe that there was an issue within the marriage, right? Maybe he was like, I don't care anymore. That seems like an I don't care to me, not like he's plotting their murder.
Right.
But he definitely was not taking care of his wife. Absolutely not. Because in no play area with me and my kids will you ever see PJ just sitting to the side. He's taking one kid and he's flipping her over there, right? Like that is definitely not an engaged marriage. There is something happening with inside that maybe we don't know about, or maybe he was so put off by her medical cocktail remedy or whatever, and he just didn't want to deal with her. I don't know, but he definitely wasn't supporting his wife, and he definitely made it worse.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and you can't claim ignorance.
But now he's supporting her.
I thought he has a new wife or something.
He's supporting like her side of everything, saying like the defense is right that she should plead like insanity. He's like supporting her that way.
Oh.
So it makes it that's what makes it so interesting. And that's why people are questioning. They're like, oh yeah. Like why is he okay with the kids? Like if PJ killed your River and Lenny, I hate saying that, but you would not be on PJ's side.
Unless I knew something that no one else knew.
I don't know. I don't know if I could ever look at Justin the same.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't be able. I wouldn't
publicly support.
I don't know
him.
that it's supporting them to say that she's insane. I don't know how that. I think that maybe saying that she doesn't deserve the death penalty, or like maybe I don't know if the death penalty is on the table here, but I'm just saying like maybe he's saying she needs help, and there is a guilt factor about the amount of help he did not give her.
Maybe that's
that he
it,
was
yeah.
like, if she's in an insane asylum or whatever they're called now, or medical hospital or whatever, if post all of this, if they are able to classify her as medically insane or whatever that is, says she went through psychosis, then maybe she gets the help that she needs that he never did. Yeah. There's a part of me that doesn't want to believe that like he's just thwarting whatever. I think he is. There's a part of me that would feel responsible. If I had known something was up and I did not take the extra steps, I am culpable as well.
Yeah. Maybe
not criminally culpable, but I definitely am culpable with the fact that I watched somebody for the last 3 years of our lives, 4 years of our lives go through this, and I watched a train crash and I did nothing. I might be inclined to say, okay, out of my own guilt, I don't think that person.
Like he that's his way of taking accountability for what happened. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, I can't get into the mind of a man. Like I just know that I would literally, because PJ has a hard time with this. We were at, because a lot of our friends are they're media consumers. And so I'll say this again, I'll say this a million times. TikTok is a lazy way to get your fucking news. So like if the only thing you're doing is going off of like TikTok, people that are, giving conspiracy theories on this, and you're not taking that. Look, I'm not saying that they don't have some, but we're saying things and we have our own views. But if you take what we do and that's it, and you call that truth, then you're just being lazy. You need to go review yourself. Go read the case. Go listen to her. Go listen to some of the medical experts, and then come to a conclusion. But if all you're doing is looking at a viral TikTok video of being like, he did it and we need to rally behind her and look at these and this is all my evidence, and you're like, okay, well, sometimes it's taken out of context. Sometimes it's AI, quite frankly. Like let's just be honest. And sometimes it's just lazy news. They heard it from somewhere else and they're just regurgitating what they've heard. And so it's just false. It's complete or clickbait. And it's just completely false to get you hooked, right? And, I always said that we're the headliner generation. All we do is we just read one thing and we call it truth, and it just doesn't do anybody justice, including Lindsay. Right. Because if the truth is behind this, if it truly is what we're seeing, a case of just terrible support on a postpartum mother that just compounded and got worse, then we're doing nothing to make that change, because all we're doing is blaming the husband, which he is, like I said, he is culpable. I told PJ, I said, if I had said to you at any point, if I put myself in a psychiatric hospital, if I had said at any point, I'm thinking about, because she did say, I think it was like in 2022, she does say early, way before she does it, that she was thinking about harming her children. And I said, if I had said that to you, or that was public, or that was knowledge to you as my husband, he was like, I would take them away.
Yeah. I'd be afraid to, I'd be afraid to leave them alone
Yeah.
with any person who would ever say that. Like, sorry, I can't even think about it.
No, I can't. And then again, it's like, I also struggle, and I'm going to be honest with you. I know we don't have much time left. I also struggle with the way in which it was done. And I'm just going to put that out there. I struggle with understanding. I told Courtney this offline, like, not that I would ever do this, just in general with people, not my children, but I have always felt rage sometimes when I get angry at somebody, and I tend to lash out, right? Mm-hmm. Like I tend to, like, if I feel something, I explain it right away, or sometimes, and it could come out explosive. So I could kind of understand sometimes, again, not knowing psychosis. So this is a totally different realm for me. But just in my normative state of being ragey, sometimes I can kind of see how maybe you could pop just one day. I don't know. And I was telling you, I was like, I think there's a difference in those types of ragey behaviors, like throwing something, stabbing something, like chucking something, to what happened and how it went down
Was so methodical.
Yeah.
Versus like punching a wall.
It feels methodical. And so I'm not trying to discount anybody's, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate on the psychosis thing. It's like, I truly don't know. I do also think that when we talk about postpartum, I think we really, I know it's a trendy term too right now, but I do think that we need to really look at postpartum and gut health, because I think that if we're not feeding our bodies and we're not feeding our healing bodies nourishing foods, and we're not giving our bodies and our minds the support, I think we open ourselves up to a realm of what quite possibly is demonic behavior, you know? And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of what people are calling spiritual warfare, but I do think that that's also an interesting take too. Yeah. Is when, you know, if you're not able to surrender it to something else, what does it become? Because I think that is something that's got me through a lot of things.
Trapped inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know what thing that does when you let something just bottle up, right? And I don't think that she always thought about killing her children, right? No. And especially when she talks about hearing voices, you're like, okay, you know, it's just that part is just, I can't even really understand that side.
That's a whole nother level. And I think it's really important to distinguish postpartum depression and psychosis, two totally different things. And I think that the internet has gone a little bit wild by just being like, oh, I experienced this too. And like jumping on the Lindsay train when they're very different. Right.
And I will say too, I guess we should end this with this. If it is comes out to, and she is, you know, medically insane or whatever, and it is psychosis, right? Then what? For every other woman that has this, then what? How do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? Right. Because if we're just saying that, and to your point, then if more people come out and have these tragedies and that's what they claim and that's it, what are the steps that we're taking in the medical industry, in the mental health industry, in the postpartum motherhood industry? Like, what are the steps we're taking to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Because obviously something glitched and it's not normal. And I do not want to normalize, because you're in psychosis, you could potentially kill your children.
Right.
Like that has to not ever like become normal.
And if you're in psychosis, you need to go away from your children until you are medically proven to be out of that psychosis and you're okay. And then it should be steps, I think, down. And I don't have the exact answer by any means. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think that better steps need to be taken in this. And that's what we need to learn from it.
Because clearly with the number of medications she was on and the lifestyle that they had, they clearly were able to afford some sort of help, right? So you're like, where does it become our duty as a person, as a human being, to take the steps to help ourselves? And then when is it for, you know, our spouses to step in or our family to step in? Because like nobody, from what I'm reading from family and friends, this was not a surprise. Right. I mean, obviously the ending is a surprise, but I'm saying like how she felt, her diagnosis, her anxiety, the pills she was taking, those are not surprises to anybody. Maybe the combination is a surprise, but not the fact that she was on medications, or the fact that she was not herself, or the fact that she was crying and screaming from the inside of the house that she needed help. And then nobody did anything, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, I just want to say this out loud, that I just, I pray for the souls of those children. And I hope that whatever comes to light does, and I hope that truth reigns above all. And again, at the end of the day, I just want to caution everybody when we see these viral things happening and we follow. I mean, it's so different than like the we just didn't have TikTok and all that back then. But what am I thinking? Lacey Peterson, OJ Simpson. Who was the other one? The other mom. There's a bunch of them.
Mom.
There's a lot of moms. There's a couple of Lacey Peterson. The one that Casey Anderson, or not Casey.
I thought it was the dad who killed
Casey. No, she went to jail.
Casey Anthony.
Like things like this is like they go viral for whatever reason. We don't know. They just become landmark cases, or not landmark in the judgment side of things, but we crave it, but then we create things that aren't true. And I just think at the end of the day, we have to seek the truth. And so I hope whatever truly happened comes to light. And if this woman truly is marked as having a psychotic break, then we rally behind her enough to get that help. But I think that she becomes a landmark for what happens in postpartum care.
Agreed. I think that was perfect. I think we just end it right there. I think maybe we even, later on follow up on the case once the verdict has been announced, and then kind of go from there. So we'll be anxious to see what turns out.
I also think that we should probably put, as we're saying that we should do better, in our, when we do our description, if you guys are listening here on Spotify or whatever, we'll put some resources so that if you are feeling this, that you know where to get help, because this is a tragedy that should just not have happened.
And if you need somebody to talk to too, if you feel close to us after this conversation, feel free to DM on the Truth Moms podcast DM, and we can help you there too. So,
amen.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Truth Moms. Remember, mamas, the truth starts at home.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more moms like you, and plus, it's free.
Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and we will keep dropping those truth bombs. Bye.